I can't wait to get back on the road again. Back again. Dude, like for the baggers.
Back home again.
Back home again.
In
Indiana land.
All right, y'all, welcome aboard to Dirtyard Dish, Season 5, Episode 6. We have a very, very special guest today, alongside myself, your host, Rudy Lyon, once again, back on the pod after a little hiatus. We have Mr. Alec Buchman. How are we doing? As affectionately known as Buck. How are we doing, Buck?
I'm good. I'm good. Doing real well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so polite, even giving a thank you for even asking. A well-mannered young man. So a little backstory from me about Buck. We've known each other for about 4 years. I think it was the 2019 Indianapolis, about this time of year, actually, February of 2019.
Tryouts, yeah.
He was taking part in a men's baseball league draft. He had played in the league before, had moved away, came back to Indy and wanted to jump into like a free agent pool. And I was a manager for a team in the league, and I think I had like the second overall pick, and I saw this young cat how old were you at the time?
Oh my gosh, that was 2019. So I was 21.
Okay.
I don't even think I was 21 yet I wasn't 21 when I
Okay.
came to the house. I was 20.
Okay. He was 20 years old. He showed himself as a Mr. Do-It-All. He was behind the plate catching bullpens. He threw a little bit, took some BP, and knowing what we were looking for on our team needing to fill spots is like, hey, we need a guy who's a jack of all trades. And he showed that for sure. Was great behind the plate, showed out to be an ace on the team, still playing in the IBL, playing baseball. I am kind of on a retired status. Or a fill-in whenever needed for the same
Reserve.
team. Reserve player, former manager, and was just really impressed with him. And just fun little tidbit, I am a Portland Trailblazers fan. This almost seemed like fate. If you remember this.
Yes, the Rip City hat.
He was wearing a Rip City Portland Trailblazers hat that night, and it almost felt like, man, I like what this guy brings to the table.
I had no idea what that hat even meant. I borrowed it from a buddy because I didn't even have a hat at the time, and I had no idea what Rip City was. And you told me, and it was like, all right, definitely meant to be.
It was fate for sure. And from that day on, been great friends. Love seeing this guy whenever I can. He's just a real chill vibe at all times, whether it's on the ball diamond, at the dirt yard, or otherwise. And we have just a great story that he wants to tell all of our listeners, whether you're in CCW or not. So that's my side of Alec Buchman, but I want you to give us your background, whether it be with baseball, with CCW, just some like spitballing stuff here. How did you get started in the league? Like, what season are you heading into in CCW, and like what teams have you played for?
Yeah. So coming from a baseball background, man, I grew up playing baseball. That was my sport. Wasn't really too good at any other sports. Played through high school, played travel ball, that stuff. So then when high school was over, I didn't go on and play college ball. So I joined the IBL, played a couple seasons off and on, moved to Florida, came back. And that's when, we started playing together, and we played that 2019 season together. And remember hearing you guys talking about this wiffle ball thing. And I was like, it sounds kind of cool. Because, like growing up, like you always see people playing wiffle ball, and you kind of hear that there's like an underground league. You just really don't know like where it's at. So 2019 season ended, and then 2020 rolls around and COVID hit. And so that kind of put, so I think I don't even remember when I signed up. I don't even remember I'm pretty sure I reached out to you and I was like, what's up with this wiffle ball thing? Let's give this thing a try. So got in touch with Aaron Rodgers, the Outlaws, and I was supposed to be an outlaw. But then things kind of fell through because of COVID. That kind of put a delay on things. So then I ended up joining the Hackers, which was the Outlaws and the Hackers, I think, were like the two like expansion teams. They were just kind of thrown together with a bunch of guys just kind of filling in. So then 2020 season started, and played my first couple wiffle ball games. Was a Hacker. In that 2020 season, man, it started off rough. You think being a baseball player, you're gonna come in, and I'm gonna kill it, dude. this is it. And man, it was rough. I remember throwing the first game that I threw, and dude, I could not find the board to save my life. It was rough. It was a struggle. Threw a couple more times, and then I just remember there was that one night game against the Short Shorts. That was the game where it clicked. I
Hmm.
don't know what changed. I don't know what happened, but I finally kind of figured it out. And then from then I just took off.
Yep.
Um, obviously I still can't hit the ball or shit. I don't get how some of the guys can, man. They say the hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball. The hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a wiffle ball. It's
Yeah.
by far extremely more difficult. Um, so yeah, so then I played the 2020 season with the Hackers. Went to the national tournament and came back the 2021 season. Played with the Hackers again, and then obviously missed last season. Took that season off, and then this season here we are again. And the Hackers are no more. I don't think that. Yeah, the Hackers
Correct.
weren't around last year either. So
Hmm.
then I just recently signed with the Short Shorts,
Okay. So this will be season 3.
season
And
3.
fittingly, you're joining the squad where, like you said, where it clicked.
Yeah.
And for some context too, I failed to mention this at the outset. That 2019 baseball team that we played on also included guys
Yes.
like
Yes.
Brendan Dudas and
Yep.
Dylan Jones. We
Yep.
had a great squad,
Yeah, we
honestly.
did. We did.
And then I think it was that year where I remember being just vastly devastated because the way the year ended, Dudas tore up his knee.
Yeah.
um, you had to miss your playoff game because of a previously scheduled vacation. Some other guys
Yeah.
got injured, and it was like, man, we were so good, and we just got drilled with injuries.
Yeah.
Um, and
And still almost won that playoff game. I remember I was
I
sitting on the
know,
in Florida and I was texting you guys and you were texting me updates throughout the game. I think it was against the Canes, maybe.
yeah, hmm,
Yeah, and you guys were up at one point. It ended up being like 4-5, or I mean, it ended up
yeah.
being a real close game. It was depressing. I really thought we could pull it off, but
Hmm. They
despite
they
all the
didn't
injuries,
know they didn't know what hit them. I'll tell you that much. Even
right? Yeah,
though um, you were just kind of cornered by in the dugout at all times with me and Dudas on either side of you. Like, yeah, man, if you think playing IBL Wood Bat League is fun, you
right.
should come
Yeah,
out to the Dirtyard and play. And
yeah.
we're both
I remember
we're
there
both.
was the weekend that you guys had the All-Star game. You
Hmm.
came back that next Sunday talking about it and just talking about how cool it was. And I was like,
Hmm.
man, it kind of just put that bug in my ear. And
Yeah.
so, like I said, that next season, I definitely had to check it out and fell in love with it.
And those first 2 years, like I did this for a couple years, pulling double duty, playing in the
Yeah,
baseball league and Wiffle. And
yeah,
you're still planning on doing that this year. I'm like,
yeah,
I can't do it anymore. My body can't
yeah,
keep up, but more
yeah. That's
power to
definitely the
you, my guy.
perks of being definitely the perks of being 24 years old. I can still manage it.
Hmm. Yep, yep. So, and just for reference to CCW and the IBL games happen both on Sundays.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that is a lot of ball in one
yeah.
day and a very, very sore Monday to follow. So,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
so you mentioned NWA. I think you're rocking the NWA t-shirt right now.
Yep.
Switched into it. Very nice. And
Yep.
that's from when we hosted in 2021 in the fall. And you got to
Huh.
travel out to Pittsburgh in 2020, which was
Yes.
an awesome experience. Driving the 6 hours with the boys,
Yes.
uh, singing crazy songs. I remember playing on the like four of us were playing on the Euchre app. Just
Yeah.
built a lot of good a lot of
Yeah.
good team chemistry on the road trip. We finished top 8, I believe, in both
Hmm.
2020 and 2021. What was your experience like? If you could put into words, if you have stats or memories from those 2 years, what sticks out to you the most being a part of the national circuit?
Dude, so like you can't even really put into words just how cool of an experience it is, when like all is CCW, you see this league and see how into
Hmm.
it we are, and then you pull up to the fields and you just see all these other leagues and just how into it they are. And I mean, you had teams from Michigan and Minnesota, New York, Pennsylvania, I mean everywhere all came together. And dude, that was the coolest part of it, was just seeing just all the different leagues, that were there to represent, and just the competition level there. I mean, dude, like you thought the guys in our league were good, and then you go there and see some of the pitchers and some of the dudes that can hit, and I mean, it was unreal. So it was a really cool experience, when I got to throw the couple games that I did, and how good I did. I think
Hmm.
that first game I pitched, I think I threw against I think it was WSEM in Michigan, and
Hmm.
we ended up winning that one like 4-0. I think we only went like 4 or 5 innings because of time. Held them to no runs, and then we played Skibby, and I think I held them to like 2 hits. But I think they were able to squeak by a run, and in
Hmm.
those 2 hits, and we weren't able to put anything up against them. I think Cam threw against us that game.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I mean that was obviously a tough loss, but still, in retrospect, I think I did throw it pretty well. So it was just cool to be recognized at a national level. Like when you see your name, being paired with some of these other guys, it's pretty incredible. That not to mention, just going out like you said, riding out there with the boys. We went to the casino that
Hmm.
night.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, dude, that was just an awesome experience. That was fun.
Yeah. And had you ever been to Pittsburgh before?
No, I had, which was really cool.
No.
I'd never been there.
Yeah.
I'd never really been out that way. So yeah, it was definitely a really cool city, and I think it's going to be there again this year.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
Heading
definitely looking
back
forward to going
there.
back. Yeah, we
Heading
need to make
back
sure
there in a.
we need to make sure we get there early too, because man, we were on the road until like 1 a.m. Friday night. We got
Uh-huh.
we got in at like midnight. Everybody got to sleep at like 1, and we had to be up at like 6 for game Saturday.
Hmm.
So we were all dragging ass trying to get out there to
Yeah.
the Saturday, and it was a little rough, but it was no, it was definitely a good time.
And it was like 35 degrees. So
Yeah, yeah,
in
it was
September.
definitely chilly. Yeah,
We won't have that issue this year with it being in July, so we're about
right.
5 months away. I'm sure seeing how your arm gets back into shape would be assuming that you're going to be on that spot to
Hmm.
load up our pitching rotation. I know, like you said, your first two outings in 2020 in the national level were unbelievable. Considering you had really just started throwing a wiffle ball, what, maybe 4 months prior to that, and
Yeah, yeah,
things clicked, and they
yep,
clicked for you in the league, and then they clicked on the seemingly the biggest stage that you had ever been on. It was
yeah,
really awesome to watch.
yeah.
um so, and I know you got to and I'll give some I'll drop a picture in this pod so that people can see it, but you
Yes.
particularly got to meet a guy at NWLA in 2021, I believe, when he came out to Indy. This was Jordan Robles.
Yep.
And I wasn't sure if you give me a little bit of the backstory on your Wiffle tattoo, if you want to show it to the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it on
Yep.
his offhand, his left elbow.
Yep.
And
Uh,
so was it Robles that kind of inspired you to go that route, or did you even know that he had a Wiffle
no,
tattoo?
so dude, I had no idea that he even had it. So
Okay.
originally the artist when he did this, it was a moon. It was like a perfect circle, and it was supposed to be like a moon, but the shading didn't really stick. So
Mm.
this was right before I think I was getting tatted like the month of the national tournament in 21. And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I might make this a fucking wiffle ball. Why not?
Heck yeah.
I got enough tattoos. Like, let's throw it in there. So I had my artist do it, and then come to find out, this was after I'd already got it. I found out that Jordan already had. I was like, ah,
Hmm.
damn, he beat me to it. Um, so obviously one of the best wiffle ball players in the country.
Hmm.
And it was really cool. The picture that you drop.
Yeah,
We got together and we took a picture of them together. Um, yeah, dude, he's a stud, man. It was really cool to see him at the tournament and to share that experience. That was awesome.
for sure. And it's I didn't know that about that, just white space being there already. So
Yeah.
simple enough. You just have to, hey, artists, just fill in three black
Yep.
dots, three black
Yep.
ovals, and call it a wiffle ball. Man.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
I'd seen pictures online of people that took like red stitching and put them in their elbow to
hmm.
make like a baseball, and I always kind of wanted that. I thought that was cool, but I was like, you know what? Let's do a fucking wiffle ball.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it before. Cam Smith, I think he's gotten a wiffle ball tat here recently too.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to at some point get all the guys in the NWA scene or the national wiffle scene to get together
Yeah.
and
Get a picture
take
with
a
them all.
wiffle tat pick.
Yes.
I I don't think I'm cool enough to join that crowd, and I hate needles, so I don't see
Yeah.
myself ever getting tatted.
Yeah. Well,
But
then D. Louis got, dude, that piece that he got on his arm,
yes,
that's a good piece. That's big too. That's
oh for
solid.
sure.
That's our logo. And yeah, I feel like he was trying to one up me on that or something. So I'm gonna have to go get another something.
Well, I
something
can't imagine your wiffle ball tat was that expensive. He
No,
definitely
yeah.
outdid you on
Yeah,
cost.
he definitely
So,
did. Yeah.
uh-huh. Well, he can be in the pick too, since there
Yeah,
is technically a
absolutely.
wiffle ball in the logo. So
Yep, there is.
we'll get him in there.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I love hearing your backstory. I again commend you for how quickly. I know you said, "Oh, that first night of throwing, couldn't hit the board to save your life."
Yeah.
Everyone in the league was just astonished at how quickly you picked this game up.
Yeah.
Um, and transitioning a little bit into the main topic of our discussion, and you teased it as to you missing the 2022 season.
Yep.
Certainly missed having your presence at the league last year at the Dirtyard, putting out the good vibes, whether it was in a Hacker jersey or otherwise that you would have been in since the Hackers
Right.
didn't exist. But um, your last experience of wiffle ball up until it's going to be a momentous moment, I think, when we get to opening day and you're stepping out on the mound,
Dude,
because your
yes.
last experience of throwing was at the NWA that we hosted
Yep.
in 2021.
Yep.
And if you just want to give us as much detail as you want about what led to you that being your last moment on the bump, and then now making your return to CCW this season.
Yeah. So I guess we got to kind of go back a couple years. So back in starting in like 2015, I started struggling with addiction issues. Started getting into drugs pretty bad, and that carried on, throughout the years. Kind of off and on. Kind of using baseball and wiffle ball as like that was like almost my safe haven. Like that was my go-to happy place. Um, and then it was 2021, April of 2021, before the season started. I had relapsed, been back on drugs, and caught a case. I got caught with a shit ton of mushrooms, which of all drugs, it was kind of funny almost in a way. But um, so I got caught with them, bonded out of jail, and I'll never forget where I was, man. I was golfing at Vala Vista Golf Course,
Hmm.
and my lawyer was in communications with the prosecutor. Because I had been arrested before in the past, for drug charges and like little petty stuff, and always would just get probation or whatever. Um, so then with this case, though, it was pretty serious because it was enough drugs to make it a serious case. So, like I said, I was golfing at Vala Vista and was just about to tee off on the first tee. My lawyer texted me and she said, "Hey, so I've been in contact with the prosecutor. Their best offer is 5 years Department of Corrections." And man, I didn't even know what to think. That was like it all kind of hit me, and I was like, "Damn, I'm really I think I might go to prison."
Mhm.
Um, so playing that whole season, I think I kind of like the details got kind of hashed out, and I eventually kind of knew that I was going to end up having to go to prison, which was really weird. It's a really weird experience
Yeah.
being out and being free, but knowing this date is I'm
Right.
going to have to go. And it was originally supposed to be in the beginning of September, but then of course we had the national tournament, and I definitely wanted to be a part of that before I went.
Hmm.
So my lawyer was able to work it out to where I went October 7th. Um, so it was definitely a bittersweet feeling playing in that national tournament, because I knew, like I said, I knew that I was going to end up, having to miss the 2022 season,
Hmm.
unfortunately. I just didn't know how long. I thought I was like, because so like it was a 5 year sentence, but I was ordered to do a program in there. It's called the Recovery While Incarcerated program,
Hmm.
and it's like classes that you do, and once you finish it, you file a petition to the courts to get your sentence modified, and then as long as you've been good and everything, they'll modify your sentence and let you out. Well, I thought that program was only going to take me about 6 months, so I was hoping, I go in October, I could be out, by April, May, hopefully be out in time to be back on the field.
Hmm.
So like I said, so that game ended. Obviously we lost, we didn't make it, obviously as far as I wanted to, but we still made it pretty far. I was still really super proud of the guys. We did a good job, I feel like.
Hmm.
Um, so then I went in October 7th, and then I didn't get out until just December of this last year.
Hmm.
I was there for 14 months, a little bit longer than I expected. Um, so obviously I missed the whole season, but which man, that was tough. Um, obviously, missing the All-Star game, missing, all the CCW, and then missing the national tournament,
Hmm.
which we obviously won, which is
Yeah.
fucking so hype. That's awesome. And it just sucked really that I couldn't be a part of it.
Hmm.
But it's definitely a good motivating factor, to make me realize like, damn, like that's not where I want to be. And I know where I want to be, and that's free, so I can go, do the things that I love to do, such as wiffle ball and baseball.
Right. We
Uh,
we certainly it wasn't lost upon us knowing that, our national squad got hot at the right time and stayed
right,
hot, and we certainly felt like, man, it was in everyone's head. We wish that Buck was here. Like we say this top to bottom, like everyone that is in the league plays a role in that national title, and not
right,
just those in the league, but the support system, the families, the friends. I mean, like the league runs out of Dudas's dad's backyard,
right.
So
Yeah,
it's a family affair, but still specifically knowing that, man, we did this, and Buck's not here to drink from the cup or anything. It
right.
just
Yeah, yeah,
feels wrong almost to a degree. So
right.
certainly missed. Now I am curious, and you hit on it a little bit. Um, what what was kind of going through your mind? Like, what thoughts and feelings were you experiencing? Like at the beginning of serving the sentence. Like, yes, there was. You
Man.
talked about, oh man, it's weird to be playing wiffle ball and baseball, knowing that this entry date is coming.
Right.
Um, but when you're entering into serving your sentence, what was going through your head, just in like the greater scheme of life, not wiffle ball related?
Man, it was obviously very intimidating.
Hmm.
Because like I said, it was really weird. Because most of the time when you go to prison, you start off in the county jail. And then once they sentence you to prison, that's when they ship you off to prison. So I bonded out of the county jail, so that's how I was able to spend, the whole summer hanging out. Um, and then so when I turned myself in October 7th, I went to court. They officially sentenced me. Took me back over to the county jail. I sat there for a couple weeks. Um, yeah, it was about 3, 4 weeks, and then that's when they shipped me to prison. Um, and that like I said, I had done a little bit of jail time here and there, so I've been familiar with that.
Hmm.
But prison was it was just a whole different ball game. It was
Hmm.
a lot of a lot of fear, a lot of intimidation, just not knowing like what this is about. And then so when you first get there, you start off in it's called the Reception Diagnostic Center. It's RDC. It's a big building out in Plainfield off of Moon Road. If you're ever traveling up and down Moon Road, you see it. Um, and that's where they send everybody that goes to the Department of Corrections. You start off there so they can classify you, figure out what prison you're going to go to, and that whole ordeal. Remember, I spent the whole day down in reception, and they sent me back up to the cell. Um, and it was real long range of cells, really tiny cell with like the big old fashioned, bars, and the
Hmm.
door clinks shut, ding, 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 boom, and it slams shut. And I turned around and it was so loud in there, but he's yelling. And I turned around, I looked, and I realized that it hit me. I was like, damn, my life has really come to this point. I'm really sitting in
Wow.
prison. I never thought that, growing up, with a good childhood, playing ball,
Yeah.
um, I never thought that my life would come to that. So I spent about 40, I think like 45 days in there, which that facility was rough. You spend 23 hours out of the day locked in that cell. You don't get out for anything. Um,
Wow.
because so like I said, everybody that goes to prison starts off there. So like your bunkie could be a murderer, you anybody with any amount of time goes there, so they can't just let people out. That's obviously where they classify your security level.
Hmm.
Um, so it was 45 days of 23 hours out of the day locked in a cell. And I got there when COVID was still going on too. So you had to quarantine. So for the first 2 weeks,
Yeah.
you didn't even leave that cell for your first 2 weeks. Your food was brought to you, and then so I spent about 45 days there. No contact with the outside world. You don't get any phone calls. You can write letters, but that's it.
Hmm.
So that was rough. That was a long 45 days. You didn't have much to do. You only had a few selection of books, if the books were even still together. You get some books that were missing pages and shit. Um,
Yeah.
uh, so then once I finally got out of there, I made it out of there. They shipped me off to prison, and I was at the Heritage Trail Correctional Facility. It was in Plainfield. It was right next door to that reception center. So then I got there and was able, to reach out to people, called Dudis, obviously called my family, called, a couple other people and got to talk to them. And then from there, it was just really focused on, getting through that program and
Yep.
getting home. Um, the program was an average about 6 months to take it. So of course, once I got there, I was like, okay, 6 months from now, I'm good. And I got there in about December of 21. So I was like, okay, June, I can be out by June.
Hmm.
Um, well, then it took about a couple months to actually get in the program. Took about
Hmm.
6 months to get done with the program. So I was done with the program in about August. And then I sat around for another 4 months just dealing with the courts. The courts are in no hurry to get
Yeah.
you out there. They don't,
Hmm.
they're more worried about their new cases. They're not worried about getting somebody out. Um, so I spent, about 3, 4 months, going back and forth with the courts and everything like that to figure out, what was actually going to happen. And then finally,
Hmm.
December 14th of 2022, they released me. Um, they released me finally.
Yeah. A
So,
red letter day to be sure.
oh yeah,
Man, I know that day alone probably had a huge influx of emotions, and you
oh yeah,
painted an incredible picture just for me. Like I'm feeling chills down my spine about the visual of the sounds that you're hearing as you're
yeah,
entering your cell and it's slamming shut, and like it's a feeling or a visual that I can't fully comprehend, and I'm in the
yeah,
moment like you said, like yeah, you had done some jail time before, but it was different
yeah,
even in that moment. um so I you talked about the handful of scraps of books that were available to you,
yeah.
um things of that nature, like hobbies, interests. How were you, maybe even outside of the program that you were entering into, the rehabilitation program, how else did you fill your time in the 14 months away?
Man, when I look back on it, I don't even know what I did the last 14 months. I mean, it seemed like it went by real slow, but now that it's over, it seemed like it went by kind of quick.
Hmm.
I couldn't get in a good routine in there. Like you'll meet some guys in there that, they have their routine, like just like being
Yeah.
at home, they'll wake up early, they'll have their cup of coffee, they'll sit down, they'll watch TV, they'll work out, they might have a little job in there and they do the same thing every day. And I could never just get into a routine.
Hmm.
So for the first little bit, I worked in the kitchen. So I did that. And then I actually ended up getting kicked out of the kitchen for stealing food and just other dumb shit. Um, but I'd watch TV for a couple weeks. I'd get bored with that. I'd play cards for a couple weeks. I'd get bored with that. I'd work out a little bit, get bored with that. So I could never really just stay in a constant,
Hmm.
routine, I guess. So yeah, so I mean, I try to read in there. I had some books in it, but man, it was really hard to read in there. I'm not a good reader when stuff's going on around me, and
Yeah.
you never found peace and quiet. So where I was at, it
Hmm.
was it was called an open dorm. I wasn't actually in a cell every night. So you're in a big bunk area. It's just bunks everywhere. So a lot of people talking. So I never really could, sit down and read and focus enough. Um, but yeah, I couldn't even tell you what I did. Like I said, I'd work out for a little bit. I know. So over the summer, they put together a little softball league, which was really cool.
Okay. Yeah.
It was kind of a half-ass little softball league, but it was still really cool. It wasn't even really a league either. So the warden came in and had every dorm try out,
Hmm.
and they took like 20 guys from the whole camp, and then had this church team come in and play us. So like
Wow.
it was a really good church team, and they came in and whooped our ass. It was
Oh my
funny.
gosh.
Yeah, it was a good. They came in, they whooped our ass, and then gave us like a little sermon after, which was really cool. It was funny.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, dude. It was hilarious. They definitely whooped up on us. There was
Oh
maybe
my
only like I don't know,
word.
like 4 or 5 of us. Yeah, about a half a dozen of us out of that whole team that actually like had like baseball or with softball experience, whatever. And so the team definitely kind of struggled. But it was just a good time. It was just good to be able to get out and throw, and
Yeah.
pick up a bat. Um,
Hmm.
So they left the gloves and the softballs in the rec yard. So whenever it was nice out, we get out, we would definitely throw and stuff. So I definitely was able to keep my arm healthy. And then the last 3 or 4 months before I left, I told myself, I was like, man, I need to start working out. I was like, I can't go to prison and come out
Mhm.
not in decent shape.
Yeah.
So I did start really getting into working out better about the last 3 or 4 months that I was there, and I've continued to do that now. So
Good.
I feel like I am in probably the best shape I've been in a long time.
Nice. Nice.
But I at least
That
took that from there.
Yeah, the irony is not lost on me that that's just you give that little anecdote. A church team shows up,
Yeah, yeah,
kicks your ass, and then
yeah,
you
and
know
then gives it like a little yeah,
they're really doing the Lord's work. You can
yeah,
tell. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man.
Coming in
Uh,
and humbling a bunch of inmates.
exactly.
It was funny.
Exactly. It's too bad that you weren't able to show off like your overhand throws in game unless you're like playing in the outfield or something.
Yeah,
Because like,
which I did play in the outfield because of that. So when
okay,
we had the little tryouts, I had one of the best arms out there, if not the best.
nice.
And so they stuck me out in the outfield, which I mean, I'm not, for those listening, I'm not much of an outfielder. I'm not fast. I cannot touch a fly ball good at all. So it was in, dude, the field was shitty. I mean, there was mounds out in the field and hills everywhere. And it was, um, but yeah, so I was definitely able to still show off my arm a little bit, which was cool.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you at least had that semblance of Wiffle.
So a lot of people ask, they'd see my wiffle ball tattoo. And
Yeah.
some people would be like, "What's that?" But a couple of them were like, "Dude, is that a wiffle ball?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, dude, yeah." And they'd be like, "Why? What?" And I'm like, "Dude, I play wiffle ball." And they're like, "You mean the kids game?" And dude, I loved having to explain to people. And there was one guy in there. And I explained to him, I was like, "Dude, there's people in our league that can throw that thing, and there's people everywhere that can throw it like high 90s."
Hmm.
He's like, "Oh, no, there's no way." But that little plastic ball, there's no way. I'm like, "Dude, I promise you." I'm like, "I don't need to sit here and argue with you because I know, but like,
Right.
dude, it's serious. Like, if you get up and look us up, so
Hmm.
hopefully we got a nice little newer fan base of
Yeah.
bunch of convicts that that I introduced
Were
into the league."
were you ever able to like show him videos or send him links or anything?
No,
Just
no, I
okay.
wish. No, unfortunately not. But like
Yeah.
I said, I wrote some, I wrote our league down for for some people, and
Hmm.
hopefully when they get out, they'll check it out and see that I wasn't kidding.
Yeah, right on. Well, that also leads to another curious question. Like, how often did you think about wiffle ball when
Oh, dude,
you had
every
all
day,
that time
every
every
day.
day?
Yeah, it was everyday
Yeah.
thing.
Well,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy when you've got the reminder on your
Right.
elbow.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're ever just cross-armed and you see it there, it's like, man,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you talked about like, trying to find a routine and things of that nature, getting into weightlifting towards the end there and still doing that to this day, which is great. Um, what in the difficulty of finding that routine, what would you say was like your greatest motivation in the time? It's hard to like have a routine when you don't know your end date, and like you said,
Right.
the courts really push things back for you to enter, and then it sounded like they kept pushing you back for when
Right.
you could leave. So it's just a slow go. So what was your motivation? And honestly, at the end of this whole thing, what did you learn about yourself?
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, one of the obvious main reasons or motivating factors was freedom.
Hmm.
Realizing that the life that I had been living isn't going to work. I can't, because
Hmm.
once you start going to prison, and it just gets worse. Like the next time, if I were to mess up again, it would be 3 or 4
Right.
years, and then 6, 7 years, 8, 10, whatever. Um, so your freedom obviously being a big one. Um, that and just my friendships and my family. Not having, obviously I
Hmm.
could call people, but just I'm a huge people person, man. I love to be around my friends and my family.
Yes.
Not being able to be around them while I was in there, I mean, that sucked. Um, but I definitely learned some patience while I was in there. I learned some patience, and I learned how to sit the fuck down because, man, when I'm
Mm.
when I'm out here, I'm always moving around, always needing to do something, always. That's why I thought that was one of the big fears I had going
Mm.
into prison too, was knowing that I'm stuck. I can't go do
Yeah.
what I want to do. I've always been somebody that I can never sit still. I'm always needing to do something, whether it's work, hanging out with friends, whatever.
Yeah.
So I definitely learned some patience while I was in there, learning to sit down, relax, chill out, especially with the court thing, because I didn't know an end
Yeah.
date. Um, as far as I was concerned, my end date was January of 2025. With all the time cuts and everything, if I wasn't able to get my modification of my sentence, that's how long I would
Yeah.
have had to have been in there. So I mean, I'd call my dad and my attorney, and I'd be freaking out like, "Hey, what's up? What's up with the courts? When are they going to get me out of here?" And he was like, "Man, you have to hurry up and wait. That's all you can do. Hurry up and wait." And
Hurry
so
up
I
and
did.
wait.
Hurry up and wait. Yeah,
Great advice.
I can't tell
Great
you how many times I
advice.
heard that. Man, that's the story of jail and prison is hurry up and wait. You can't do
Yeah.
anything about it. You can't trip about it. You just got to learn to sit back, relax, and just know that it'll be all right. So
Wow. That's I know I've heard that before, that piece of advice, that little quip, but man, what a great just little 4-word sentence to sum up
right,
something that's completely out of your control.
right,
It basically is saying you're gonna bring yourself peace if you just admit quote unquote defeat
yep,
and just be like, I there's nothing I can do about this. This is out of my control. So just take a deep breath and let things happen.
yeah,
Where the chips fall, let them
yeah,
land where they may. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Very poignant. You're giving me chills down my back again, man.
yeah,
It's good stuff.
yeah,
Um, so obviously, just to like round up this topic of conversation, um, the reason you and I, when we talked about having this is not a typical subject matter for
right,
a
yeah,
wiffle ball podcast. It's obviously
right,
it's within the context, but knowing that there are so many guys and just people in general that are curious about your story, and you've been very transparent with me and with others, but for those that may, they know you through the league and you're not considered like close buddy, there's oftentimes this delicacy of handling such a sensitive issue as sobriety, drug use, prison time. Everyone's got their own struggles going on in their life, and it's awesome that you have been given a second lease or a second chance to find your sobriety again, and now to share your story. And
yeah,
ultimately, this is that open door for guys to feel encouraged to talk about it with you, and to ultimately build the CCW community. And
right.
it's already a well established community. So, like, what is something that you would encourage the guys in the league in how to interact around this story, or just where your general sentiment is about the last 14 months of your life, or like you said, this has been an ongoing thing since 2015.
Right. Well, like you said, first off, the fact that I'm really transparent about it, like, dude,
Yeah.
I'll share anything with anybody. I'll tell people some of the darkest stories I know.
Hmm.
I'll tell them to a stranger. I'll tell them to close friends. I'll tell them to family, whoever. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed about,
Good.
what I've been through. So I know that like people that don't fully like interact with it, because that's all I deal with all the time is, people in recovery. And,
Hmm.
I talk about this subject a lot. So I understand that, not everybody does. So I could see where, it's hard
Sure.
to approach somebody and, start that conversation or, whatever. But, man, joking about it, dude, is awesome. You have to find humor,
Okay.
you have to find humor in it.
Good.
Um, I know, like some people like they'll throw a sly joke out there and they'll be like, well, I hope you didn't take that the wrong way.
Right.
I
Right.
get more offended when somebody thinks that I got offended by a joke than the actual
That's
joke.
funny.
Like I mean, you should hear some of the way that you guys joke in there. It's just all it's all a big joke. So like humor in it, joking about it, whatever, or asking questions about it. Because like you said, like I
Hmm.
said, I'm a completely open book. I'll tell anybody anything they want to know about it. I've never been ashamed or never felt like I
Okay.
needed to hide it. Because obviously, like everybody in the league is very very understanding, very welcoming
Yes.
about it. So I've never felt any judgment or anything like that towards any of the guys.
Awesome. Yeah, well, hey, you said it. Hope the guys are hearing it and not falling
Yeah.
on deaf ears. You are opening the floodgates. No, like those famous shit talkers in the league.
Yeah.
Making it humorous, I'm sure,
Yeah.
is
Bring it on. Bring it on. I'll
that
give it right
that's
there. Yeah.
that's going to be a load off of people's mind if it can just become easy subject to talk about, which
Yeah.
you're giving
Yeah.
permission for. So well appreciated there.
Because
Um,
if you know me, man, I'll joke about anything.
yeah,
I
right.
feel a lot of the guys in the league, I feel like, some of our sense of humors are, can get kind of twisted and dark sometimes, which is good. I'm the same way, and
Yeah,
guys can joke with me about it, and I'll give it right back to them. So they definitely don't need to worry about any of that.
perfect. So I guess my final question on the subject is, like, how are you feeling personally after going through that 14-month sentencing and getting through the rehab program? Like, where are you mentally, emotionally, spiritually all together right now?
Dude, I'm in one of the best places I've been in a long, long time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird because even after doing that 14 months, it feels like such a distant memory. Which
Hmm.
I've had buddies that have served prison time, and they told me the same thing while I was in there. They're like, dude, when you get out, you're gonna forget about it all. It's really easy to
Wow.
forget about where you came from. Like it seems like it was so long ago that I was in there, and the whole 14 months just seems like a blur. Like it's weird. Um, but I'm trying to constantly remind myself every day, seeing where I came from.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that so I didn't just get released just free to the streets.
Hmm.
I got accepted into a reentry program, which is for people that still had some time to do on their sentence.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like a kind of like reentering people into society. It's like a step down. So I started off 90 days work release, which for those that don't know, work release is you're pretty much incarcerated at night, but you get out to go to work. You can go to meetings. You can take a like an incentive pass every week, which is how I'm able to do this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm in that until March 13th,
Okay.
and then I get 90 days house arrest after that. So house arrest is just basically like what it says. Like I'll be stuck at home,
Hmm.
go to work, so go to meetings and everything like that. Can use take my incentive passes every weekend. So that's how I'll be able to start the season off there. And then the bracelet comes off June 11th. The
Okay.
ankle bracelet will be off, and I'll just be on regular probation then. So it's still some accountability, still drug testing, still having to do classes, meetings, and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, the ankle bracelet will be off June 11th, so I'll be
Okay.
a free man come June
Okay.
11th, man. So
So you'll be pitching in the ankle bracelet then.
yeah, the first the
Co-
first couple first couple se or the first couple of weeks of the season, yeah, I'll definitely be in an ankle bracelet. Probably one
oh
of the
my
first
gosh.
ever CCW, if not national level,
Yes.
guys to
Oh my gosh.
to
That
be
is gonna
pitching an
you,
ankle
I mean,
bracelet. Yeah,
again, you gave permission for it. Like, that's just gonna
yeah, bring
be
it on. Yeah, yeah,
easy jokes there.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. That's
yeah.
great.
I can't wait.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm
Yeah,
really happy to hear that you're in a really good headspace,
yeah,
and with you're taking everything in stride with these different stages of life after regaining your freedom. 90 days, like you said, just kind of reintroducing yourself back to normal life. Like,
right.
things
Yeah,
probably feel way more normal than what they did prior to December 14th,
yeah.
but it gives you still more to look forward to, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Um, and I love the way you're phrasing it as, like, regaining that freedom. It's not just a freedom in sense of not being locked up. It's a freedom of mind.
right.
It's a
Yeah,
freedom. It's a freedom from addiction. It's all these things. And I know, like, whether it's joking, picking on an ankle bracelet while a guy's pitching or
right.
whatever, like, every all 50 or so guys in the league are going to be a support system for you. So
Yeah, absolutely.
don't hesitate to lean on us.
Yeah,
Um, so I guess, putting a bow on that uh,
yeah,
topic, I do want to hit you with some rapid fire questions, a little bit of
yeah,
change gears.
yeah.
So I'm curious to see what you'll say about these. And I'll lead with this. I know I've already said you're a pretty chill dude. You've been hitting the vape pen a couple times in this show, which I think is an example of
Yeah.
that. Outside of yourself, who would you say is the chillest guy in CCW?
Oh man. Dude, that's tough. That's really tough because I feel like everybody's so chill. Just the whole
Yeah,
atmosphere itself is really chill.
yeah.
Mm.
Just
man.
don't get on your manager's bad side. Then it's not chill.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if anybody was going to be a hothead, probably definitely do this because when I think of that question, I'm thinking like in the league because like
Right.
obviously like outside of the league, like dude, everybody in the league is
Yeah.
super fucking chill outside of the league. But I'm
Right.
thinking like game time, who's
Okay.
chill? Um, dude, one of the names that comes to mind is probably Church, Austin Church.
Church. Okay.
He's always a good time out there. Taylor Carpenter, another
Yep.
one. D. Louie, obviously D. Louie, that's my dude.
Yeah.
But still, I've still seen all those guys have their moments too. So,
Oh yeah.
um,
Well, even if you have Church as the top of the power rankings, like he's chill, but in the same vein, like he will go at it with Dudas,
right,
as will
exactly,
Taylor, and so
right,
and honestly, I'll give a shout out to the commish. He has gotten better, and he's acknowledged like I'm getting chiller. I'm getting chiller. It's fine, but
right, yeah,
we love the shit talk as long as it's
right,
all
exactly. That, yeah,
mild mannered and well meaning. So
yeah. It would be kind of a boring league if everybody came in just real chill.
right.
You got to have that.
If it was a league of a bunch of me's, there'd be no entertainment
Right.
value. I'll
I
throw
don't know.
myself under the bus
I've
there.
definitely seen you have your moments too, though. That's why I couldn't
Yes.
pick you. I couldn't pick you either. You have your moments too, as do I, and
Yeah.
as do
Right.
everybody. So,
Right. Okay. So Church, take note. You're the chillest guy in the league right now. We'll call it the Austin Church Chill Award for 2023. Name it after him. So you kind of talked about it with NWLA and the night when pitching clicked for you. Maybe
mhm.
those apply, maybe not. But what is the greatest Wiffle memory or moment you've had so far in your
Mm.
brief career?
Man, there's so many. Obviously that first night against the short shorts when everything kind of clicked. 'Cause I just remember everybody just kind of being in awe, like, damn, like he's kind of figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was that year too. We played the short shorts again in
Mm-hmm.
the playoffs, and
Yeah.
we lost a 3 game series, but we won that first
Yes.
game. I think we won like 1-0 because I shut him
Yeah.
out. So that was really awesome because like it was just cool just to beat that team again. 'Cause I feel like that
Yes.
was kind of like my rival, like as a pitcher was
For
always the
sure.
Colts. And then obviously the national tournaments too; those are so much fun. Even when it was hosted here in Indy,
Mm-hmm.
that was just such a blast.
If I had an answer for you if you didn't have one, and I was prepared for you to rub it in my face, but it was the night of the wild card game where we had to play each other your rookie year,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
absolutely shoved,
yep,
and
yes, yeah,
we just didn't have it, and that ultimately led to you playing the shorts and winning that game. Like
yes. I
after
forgot about that. Yeah,
that play-in game, like the one and done do or die game, and then your next start being game one of that playoff series. Like
yeah,
you were putting on 2014 Madison Bumgarner takeover
right.
numbers,
Yeah,
and it's like this guy has arrived. He's
yeah. I
legit.
remember I
So,
remember that too because I remember telling you I
mhm.
was like, "Dude, Rudy was probably shitty that he brought me into the league, and
I
then
know.
I put him out that game."
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot
To
about
my
that.
own
Yeah.
demise, I'm notorious for putting talent on other teams and allowing other teams to get better because I just
Right,
want parity
right,
ultimately.
yeah.
Good guy Rudy to his own detriment. Uh, which CCW batter do you love striking out more than any other? And you
Dude's,
can't say me. Okay,
dude's,
good,
dude's.
good.
Which is good, which sucks because this year we're on the
Yeah,
same team, so I can't do it anymore.
right.
Which is good because obviously one of the best hitters in the league.
Mhm.
Love having him behind me now. But if not, I probably gotta have to say Dylan Jones. Be
Okay.
just because of that fucking bomb that he hit off me at the All-Star game. Now,
Oh,
granted, he had a big
yes.
bat. That was one of the innings
Uh-huh.
when he had a big bat.
Yep.
And I left a fastball up, and he fucking ripped it. He got a
That was
hold
a
of that.
tank. That was
Yeah.
a tank.
So I don't even think I've played him too much since then,
Hmm.
because that was the 21 All-Star game.
Right.
So I haven't faced him, but definitely know that I'm coming after him this year for
Oh
sure.
gosh, you're the second guy to say DJ. So
Yeah.
apparently he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. Last question I got for you. This hasn't really been rapid fire because we've been enjoying this conversation too much,
Right.
but more back to the topic at hand that we've had. Just to wrap this up, what advice would you give someone that is going through or has gone through the scenarios that you've experienced in your life with struggles with sobriety and drug addiction and things like that.
Yeah, dude. The bottom line is just to reach out and ask for help.
Yes.
That's the first step in any kind of battle, whether it be drugs, alcohol, mental health, anything of that nature. Just because I feel like for the longest time there's this big stigma around it.
Mhm.
Like you don't talk about that thing. You're not supposed to show your feelings. We're men. We don't talk about that kind of thing. So reaching out and asking for help is the first step. You have to know that there's a problem and you have to ask for help before you can address it, because obviously you can't fix it,
Mhm.
because I mean, if you could have fixed it, you would have a long time ago. If I could have fixed my drug addiction by myself, I would have never went to prison. I would have figured it out a long time ago. But it's obvious that I can't do it myself. So reaching out and asking for help and just talking about it with somebody is huge. And whether or
Mhm.
not it doesn't matter who it is, if guys wanted to come to me, or it doesn't matter. You can go to somebody at church. You can go to somebody in your family. You can go to somebody at an AA meeting, wherever you find that help. The suicide hotline, anything. Just reaching out and just making connections with other people is huge.
Yeah, takes a village, or even
Yeah,
to put it all together, somebody in a wiffle ball league. If
exactly.
uh,
Yeah,
if there's any whether you're a whiffler or not, and you're watching this podcast for whatever reason, please take Buck's advice.
yeah,
Reach out. I know it takes not speaking from experience, obviously, but so I can't put myself in your shoes necessarily, but swallowing some pride, taking a dose of humility,
hmm,
because like you said, guys, we don't necessarily show feelings. We Lord knows we all have our own pride issues,
right.
things we don't want to admit, things just we want to fix things on our own by nature. And
Yep.
you hit it on the head, I think, that just reach out, say something. I think that's the best thing that you could have said from your experience. So thank you again,
Absolutely.
Alec, for sharing and being so transparent. I really hope this does breed open communication lines about this subject,
Yeah.
whether it be through sentimental, like real intimate conversations and asking questions, or even gaining accountability for others, or just a permission to shit talk about the
Yeah.
subject,
I'm,
and
I'm,
make
I'm
it
I'm ready to hear some of the ankle monitor and the prison jokes. If
okay.
if somebody can't come up with some good ones, man, I'm gonna be disappointed.
All right, that's perfect, dude. Wait,
Yeah.
that is the best way I can think of to wrap up this wonderful conversation. One that is unlike we've ever had on Dirtyard Dish. So, again, thank you so much for your time, for giving awesome perspective. And we won't plug anything, because I think that in and of itself, this conversation is the plug. So again, Buck, thank you again.
Thank you for having
This
me.
Absolutely. This has been Rudy Lyon and Alec Buchman of CCW here at Dirtyard Dish, episode 5, season 6.
I can't wait to get back on the road again. Back again. Dude, like for the baggers.
Back home again
Back home again.
in
In Indiana land.
All right, we'll get
Real
going.
quick, I can cuss, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Great question.
Cool.
Great question.
Yeah.